when I felt this nothingness, how do you know that there are just one nothingness and not many nothingness? Because I perceive just as nothingness, and from there your voice come, or their voice come. You know? How do you know that there's one from?
Very good question. And it's not so much a knowing, it's not so much a new idea or an intellectual knowing, it's the end of the belief in two. So two-ness, or self and other, requires an idea, if we take out all ideas now, there's just this experience happening. There's a watching of this experience. It requires an idea to pop in, to say there's Lisa over there or there's me here. In this experience now, there's just watching, and I'm more you, just talking from that perspective there, than your body is at the moment, because what's happening is there's the seeing of all this. It requires a thought to come up to say this is Lisa and this is you. So it's not that a new knowing or a new idea pops up, this is all oneness. It's the end of all those other ideas that said this is two. Do you understand what I mean? So it requires ideas, because otherwise there's just watching, which is absolute whole. It requires an idea to say, an idea and an energy, that I am this body, mind, mechanism. When that falls away, all of this becomes you. So all of this becomes, and it's not, it was always you, but there was just that idea in there that I'm this separate self doing life. And when that falls away, there's just watching for nobody. Even requires another idea to say there's a somebody there with nothingness in them. So when the ideas of self fall away, you just become experience, which is oneness, but it's not an idea, even though I'm communicating it to you in an idea. And you can get that experience, that you can maybe see that now when I'm talking. When there's not the idea of you as a separate self there, there's just experience happening, just awareness with experience happening in it. And there's no localized you. There's all of this. But it takes an idea and that energy of to create
even to ask this question.
Yeah. But when there's, and so here now, I often call myself an idiot, but it's a bit of a harsh word. But like, there's no ideas left of selfness. There's no ideas of self and other and the world. But it's not that I'm thinking I'm all of this. It's the removal of those other ideas, and when they're removed, there's always this, which is oneness. Always experiencing. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Always this watching, and everything's inside of this watching. Everything, all of this. Although that now is not inside, because I can only see this, that's just imagination. Whatever's being seen is what is, which is absolutely whole. And then the idea pops in of future, of past, of other, of a street over there, which is ideas. And then when that's all stripped away, there's just this left, which is absolutely whole and complete. And so you see why that doership leaves, and then it's not even that you're living in non-doership. You're living without anything. So you're not even, when doership goes, you're not even leaving in non-doership. That sounds like what you'd live in, non-doership. Like I'm not, and I might even say that I'm not the doer, or you're not the doer. But you don't then live in non-doership. You live without anything. just as this, without the idea that I'm here, this, all of this comes you. Because you are that experiencing, you're never those ideas and those energetical contractions. They're arising in you. In exactly the same way this pole's arising in you. And Laurent's arising in me, and this camera.
Hi, Laurent.
Can I say something towards your question? It reminded me of a teacher that I like called Francis Lucille. I don't know if you know him. Francis Lucille.
No.
He was the teacher of Rupert Spira. Maybe you know him. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He says that to the mind that wants to understand, that wants proof, he says we don't have proof that there is oneness, but we don't have proof that there is two-ness.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Spot on.
Yeah.
And this kind of
Yeah, I understood it like that too. Because when you're on this oneness, you don't even question.
Yeah.
no, and oneness is a word.
As a word, yeah.
But it's true that we don't have proof that this awareness stops somewhere, and but we don't have proof that it stops. Not true.
Very nice. The mind's constantly making stories. So constantly going into stories, which isn't wrong, it just loves making stories. And when it's making those stories, it's giving an appearance of time and space and a somebody doing something in time and space. When that falls away, which it's always doing for everybody, it's always falling away, and you're just becoming the drinking, or you're just becoming hearing, drinking, talking, you're just becoming a doing word. When you're just doing, and the stories aren't taking center, where is the past, where is the future? And those ideas aren't there, you're just left with experiencing. It requires those ideas of past, of future, of something you've got to get, to give the impression of a somebody, which is fantastic. I mean, this is the most amazing creation, the most amazing creation of self, of a separate self, that these ideas pop up, but when they're not there, who are you? You're just experiencing. And then the thought comes up, no, I'm this past, I'm what I've got to get in the future, I'm this doer. But they're only ever thoughts. Action happens, going to the chai shop happens, and the mind comes in and says, I'm doing that, and gives an impression of somebody separate from all of this. When those thoughts and energies fall away, there's just experiencing for nobody. But it's an amazing creation, and the other day somebody pointed out to me, it's because it tends, when we're talking spiritually, or we're talking in satsang, that the seeking energy is absolutely terrible and it's the worst thing, the separate self. And it sounds like that, but it also can be great drama. Like, we watch films about it, like somebody seeking their lover, or the big love story, like something like Titanic, where they're so in love and the portrait. There's fascination with the drama as well. Like, it's beautiful in one sense. It's just, it appears to be that life writes into a few of us are no longer the interest in this, and finding it in the world. There's a getting tired of finding it in the world, and then there's a coming back to who you truly are. This is just thoughts and ideas. When you take that away, we're just, yeah. And so if the thoughts come up to investigate emotions, or when sensations are coming from, that's not wrong, because that's too what God is doing. Then the investigations of thoughts or emotions or where this come from. It's never you that's choosing to do that. It might come with the thought, I'm choosing to investigate these emotions. Or I'm choosing to sit here and meditate or to reflect on who I am. But there's never somebody doing it, any of it. So I'm really not saying don't do. I'm saying it was never you doing it. And the funniest thing is about all this is it really doesn't make sense. Not just what I'm talking about, but life. It really doesn't. It's really odd. Like, it is just bizarre. But the mind is constantly making it make sense and be normal, or an idea of normality. And I was expressing this to Laurent, and even the idea of yesterday is such a bizarre idea because it's only appearing now, but I'm just going to tell you a bit of the story. Yesterday I was visiting a friend of mine who's ill. She also teaches satsang. Her name's Karen. And I was sat in her apartment and we were all having a very mundane conversation about a very, I think we were even gossiping or whatever, but we were all just sitting there enjoying gossiping. And what began to happen here was consciousness kept disappearing. So, but there's no longer an even care about any of that making sense. That there's no longer what the hell's happening. It was just like, so it was like the consciousness kept falling out of my body, and then it would come back, and then there was gossiping again, and it was like that, and then it was falling out, coming back, and that was such odd consciousness. It was almost like I was passing out, but the body was staying upright, and I have no idea why or what that's about. It really is irrelevant. Like the mind used to try and make sense of some spiritual experiences. It really doesn't any of it make sense. But yeah, and then she comes back and we're gossiping again, having a good old gossiping, and I think Laurent was, because Karen wasn't well, he was making her a drink of rice juice or something. He was cooking rice and getting her to drink the juice.
The water of the rice, yeah.
It's just, life is just bizarre. Like, it's just such a funny experience. And then we're back and she's drinking the juice as if everything's so making sense, and now we're back to having a good old gossip.